morning, members. Call the meeting to order for the Dissolution Committee for the former Board of Dallas County School Trustees. It's good to see everyone here this morning. If you'll please stand with me and join me with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Members, we have a little bit different PA system this morning. I think everybody, if you want to speak, you need to turn your microphone on, and there's a place in the center there, I think, where you can see someone speaking, and if you hit that, a little red button will come on, and that'll be a signal that you're live. So if you don't want to be live, you can leave that off, and if you do want to be live, just remember you're live. Don't think we have anybody that needs to have an oath this morning, do we? Okay, appreciate again everyone being here. We have action items, and we don't have many, as you can tell. Our only action item today is action item A, which is to consider approval of the minutes for our meeting that was held February 12th, 2018. Any comments on the minutes, additions, subtractions, amendments, corrections? Kelly?
Yes, just for accuracy of the record, I was absent at the
Okay.
February 12th meeting.
Okay, Kay, we need to show Kelly Spencer as having been absent that day. Thank you for pointing that out. Any
Move
other?
approval with corrections.
Okay, motion made for approval with corrections, or a second? Second. Motion by Dr. Hinojosa, second by Mr. Dransfield. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The minutes have been approved. I think, members, you can tell we have a lot of information today and discussion, which Mr. King has discussed and has discussed some of this with all of us and some of this with me. A lot of this is going to be information that will be moving, I suspect, toward voting in the foreseeable future, but I think some of it needed some explanation and allow you to make any inquiries you wanted to. As you know, we don't have a meeting on March the 12th and then March 26th, I believe that's correct, as we will meet again, and I suspect will be more action items, but I'm going to start with the discussion items today. The A, which is a distribution plan for White Fleet parts inventory and other assets. So Mr. King, we'll get ready to let you start updating us.
Thank you. Well, we don't have much to act on today because we really can't take any action on the distribution of assets until we've got a plan to pay our debt that's approved by our creditors. But I really can't wait. We got to start working through some of this stuff right now. So what I'm going to do is kind of lay out what we're doing, and we're not going to actually approve the distribution of assets until our creditors approve of our debt plan. But we're starting to work on it now. We want to be able to come to you hopefully the end of March or 1st of April with the actual plan to distribute those assets, but right now we got to wait on our creditors. So the first thing we're going to talk about is distribution of everything that's basically at the service centers, which includes the White Fleet, the parts, and any equipment. And basically what we'll be doing at the service centers is we're doing it right now. We're doing an inventory of everything that's out there. Once we prepared the inventory, we'll send it to the component districts. We'll ask them to verify that, and then we'll bring that back to you and ask for your approval to distribute those assets straight to the component districts where the service centers are housed. Now, where we have more than one component district at a service center, we'll have to split those assets up between the three or the two people or four people that are out there. So right now we're working on that plan to distribute those assets to the straight to the component districts, and we're going to do the inventory, ask them to verify it, and then we'll bring the list to you as soon as we can.
Questions? That's item A. Is that what you were?
Yes, sir.
As item A. Any questions? Any discussion needed regarding that information, or what was sent to you in your agenda? Don't see any questions, Mr. King. We'll move on to discussion item B, which is the plan for buses which have not been assigned. You want to elaborate on that?
Yes, sir. We currently have 32 buses at our Beckley Center, which are primarily charter buses. and athletic buses. I've distributed this plan to someone on your staff. I tried to avoid you, so we're not polling votes. So I've asked your staff for input, and, I have not received any yet, or very little. So we'll be bringing this plan back to you at our next meeting, and there again, we'll wait on creditor approval.
Questions, comments? I think if, again, our executive director is trying not to involve you, as he said, for the obvious reasons of not doing any advanced polling, but you might just check with your staff and be sure that if they have input, that they've offered it. Discussion item 5C is our teacher retirement system July 2018 payments. You got a lot to think about, Mr. King. What's next?
Yes, sir. We have 838 hourly employees who've been having health insurance deducted from their paycheck so that their last paycheck is received in June, so that they're covered for insurance during June, July, and August. In order for them to be covered during June, July, and August, the committee would have to appropriate $350,000 for the expense. So, we'll be bringing that out and back to the committee. And actually, we're going to be requesting your approval to authorize that amendment because it's something that we believe we committed to, but it's 838 hourly employees who've been deducting health insurance from their bills, so they'd be covered during June, July, and August. They won't have August coverage unless we make this payment. So that's basically bus drivers, mechanics, and a few others that are on, or 838 others that are paid hourly.
That's our match. They're paying their share, they're deducting that, and that's going to be our match. Is
Yes,
that
sir,
correct?
that's correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Just one other question, and all of that has been earned, right? So the prepayment, it's all been earned, it's just a matter of when the cash flow occurs?
Well, they've collected, they've paid their share, we haven't
Okay.
paid our share.
Okay.
But, the service year has been earned, but, I think that's obviously what we would want to do. It's the honorable thing to do. They've paid it, we need to pay our share. Any questions, comments there? Don't see any. We'll move on to 5D, summer field trips. Have to be thinking ahead. Go ahead, Mr. King.
Last year, we had 500 field trips during the summer. We billed out about $175,000 for those field trips. This summer, we probably won't have anybody here to bill you and collect the money. So in order to perform that service, we're requesting payment in advance of $192,000 to the districts in this share here. If you're not going to have field trips, we can pull you out, but we'll be polling your district to see if you want field trips. And at our next meeting, we're going to ask your approval to initiate this process where you'll pay in advance for your field trips. I'm not going to try to keep track of how many went or what. I'm just going to try to collect this money and put it in the pot, so hopefully it'll cover the summer field trips.
You're just using last year as the base year for what everybody did and billing accordingly based on that.
Yes, sir, and we'll also have the same problem with summer school, so once we get the end dates of your summer school, we'll have a plan for that.
I have a question on the field trip piece. When you collect this from the districts, if they do not take those field trips, will there be a process for returning the payment, or will it just be upfront pay whether you use it or not?
Just upfront pay whether you use it or not. If you opt out of the program beforehand, we just won't provide field trips.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you're going to have the staff to be able to figure out at the end of the summer how to go back and reimburse people.
No, sir, I've lost 3 of my accounting staff members this week.
Okay. I think, obviously, as the wind down starts, we just run up against situations where we just he has to make his best call and best judgment, and I think hearing that he's using last year as the base year and wants to provide the field trips for everyone, but has to just go by what we did, I think is probably his only option. Any other thoughts or discussion on that? Everybody kind of see what the challenge is here? Okay, then we'll move on to another challenge, 5E, records management. Want to brief us on that?
Yes, sir. After we shut our doors on July 31st, the committee will still have a responsibility for maintaining the records. So we're going to have to find a system to accommodate that, and we'll be working on a plan to address it. The good thing is most of the paper records we've already scanned and got into Laserfish, so it's just a matter of who's going to keep track of all those computerized records for us, which is going to be a big job. And we're working to address that. We don't have a plan for you now, but I just want you to know we're working on it, and we need to be thinking about it.
Questions on records? That subject? Anybody want to opine on that? Okay, we'll move on to discussion item F, distribution plan to dispose of white fleets not assigned to a service center. Mr.
Yeah,
King.
over the last month, I had all the white fleet that wasn't assigned to the service checked in, and it's parked up there in this top parking lot. I'm having people check cars in and out so I know what they're using them for. So right now, we've identified 11 vehicles that we don't need to finish the year. So we'll be auctioning those off to our component districts, and we'll be bringing that back to you at a meeting after our creditors have approved the disposition of our assets.
Any discussion? Any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to 5G, distribution plan for crossing guard supplies and equipment.
Our settlement agreement with the city required us to distribute the assets that we're using for the program. So we'll be doing an inventory of those assets. We'll be submitting that to the city, asking for their verification. And there again, after the creditors approve our dissolution plan and the city agrees with our plan, we'll be bringing those items back to you and asking you to make the appropriate distribution at some point in time.
Comments? Action item 5F, the radio system transition to component districts.
Yeah, I know very little about radio systems, so I'm going to ask Ray Leno to give you a brief overview of that.
Do we need to get you to a microphone, or can everybody hear?
Can you sit right there at Greg's?
Oh, Dino's got you. Dino's got you. Yeah, you can sit. If you want to sit down at one of these places and turn on the microphone, we appreciate you. It's the button where you see somebody speak. There you go. You're live.
Good morning.
Thank you.
As you said, the radio system is a little bit complicated with the size system we have. But with the complexity of the FCC process and the time it takes for them to go through their approval processes, the best solution we think for all the component districts is for Dallas County Schools to transfer the current licenses, FCC licenses that we have, to the component districts based on the channels that they're currently using. And we can initiate that process. I've already contacted FCC, so we initiate that process. It'll take several weeks to get through. So we'll file the application with FCC. Component districts will have to complete a portion of it as the receiving agency for those frequencies. We have to wait for the FCC to approve it. Take several weeks. And then it's just a matter of more paperwork with the FCC to actually get you the licenses. This will enable you to use the current radios that are in the buses or in the service centers, use the current repeaters that are in the antenna location in downtown Dallas. It will require the component districts to enter into an individual agreement with the tower site in downtown Dallas for you to have that business relationship with them for those services. But this will allow you, I think, the best opportunity to have a working radio system for the start of the new school year. So it's the process that we will follow if everybody's in agreement with that.
Okay. You want to add anything?
No, sir, we'll be bringing that back also because we do have, I don't know, 13 repeaters or
13.
something? 13 repeaters that have to be assigned along with the frequency, just working through the process.
Any questions?
I would also add that this doesn't give them private frequency, right?
I'm sorry, say?
It does not give the component districts a private frequency.
No, the current system is, it's an open technology. It's analog, older analog systems, not digital, so it doesn't really provide the opportunity to bring in digital encryption for radio communications that might have with police departments. So no, we don't have that capability at this time.
It's kind of a reminder of all the complexity that goes on that has to be dealt with. We appreciate your efforts and your work to get this, these licenses moved to the districts. That I would not have, something I would not have thought of, but grateful to you. Any other comments, questions? Okay, we'll move on to information items. Item 6A, financial information. Mr. King.
Yeah, the December financials are attached for your information. We've collected 39% of the budget. We spent 42% of the budget. We really won't be able to tell too much until our debt plan has been created. However, in going through this process, I identified another shortfall this weekend. It looks like about $8 million worth of debt that should have been paid in the previous fiscal year was paid against this fiscal year's budget. So we had $27 million budgeted for debt, which is the amount of debt that should have been paid during the current fiscal year, but they already used $8 million of it from previous year debt. So the $8 million deficit budget we thought we had was actually $16 million. So that's kind of a new surprise as we're going through that today. And I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
I know this is every time you turn over another rock, but have you gotten to a day yet where you haven't had a surprise?
No, sir. Every day, every minute.
Okay, we're hoping that you'll find that day, so you'll, and I know you're trying hard.
I think it's going to be August 1.
Yeah.
But then my wife will have something for me, I'm sure.
I know you've been searching for the bottom, and I hope we can get there. Any questions about the financial update?
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, yes, sir, Dr. Hinojosa.
I guess no news is not good news.
True. True.
An observation that's correct. Any questions about our financials, which obviously are still moving, and hopefully we'll have, I counted, I think next meeting we're about to hit the halfway point of our meetings, and so I know you're hoping, and we're hoping that we can start getting our plan in place to settle up and address our debt. No questions? Then 6B is insurance claims on hold.
Yes, sir. We're holding about $1 million worth of insurance claims that were incurred by Dallas County Schools in their fleet. We're starting to get a lot of pushback from that, so I'm sure it won't be long before y'all get it too. So just want to let you know we are holding about $1 million worth of claims that were incurred by DCS, and we have not paid nor have we addressed at this point in time.
Would Carlos, you may need to help us here just for a moment on these claims. Would it be accurate to say there's no plan to not pay these claims?
I think the most accurate way to say it is that the claims are being processed.
Okay.
Or can be processed, but they are not going to be paid, or the payment will be as part of this bankruptcy sort of plan that everybody's been
Okay.
talking to in conjunction with everyone else. And so, as an example, if a case that would have been settled for $7,500 and there would have been a check issued for $7,500 in exchange for release, and then that case would go away, if it percolates to a point where the parties agree that $7,500 is the right amount, then they get a $7,500 claim as part of this reorganization that we're doing. And so
Okay.
I think that's, and I'm not a bankruptcy lawyer, Joe can say it better than I did, but I think that's correct. So
Okay.
we're not telling them that they simply will never be paid. We're telling them they have to get in line and become part of the process that has been referred to here. And in order to be able to do
Okay.
that, the claims can be worked up.
Okay. Okay. Any questions about that? That's about $1 million, you say?
Yes, sir.
No comments. 6C is non-component receivables. Mr. King.
Yes, sir. This is just a list of receivables due from non-component districts. About $700,000 is what's owed us. About $300,000 of this is over 3 years old, and about $85,000 of it is owed from FMS. So this is a list we'll start attacking, but some of that stuff is really old. I'm doubtful as to how much luck we'll have in collecting it. But as we get a handle on it, we'll start bringing items to you and asking you to write them off because we deem these items to be uncollectible. But this is where we're starting. And if there's any questions, I'll be glad to try to address them.
Questions?
Mr. King, as far as the FMS receivable, I see one for 72 and then an additional, I guess, 10.
Where you look, would you tell, what page you looking
Looking
at?
page 48 and 49. What are those related to? Do we know? The FMS receivables?
I sorted it in alphabetical order, and that's how I came up with that number. There's about 4 or 5 different places it'll show up.
Yeah, I see them, but do we know why they owe us?
No, I do not.
Okay,
I know why we billed them, but I don't know why
Okay.
they haven't paid.
okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I would also say that this does not include the amount they owe us on the equipment we lease for them too.
Any others? Not hearing any, we will proceed to executive session that will be held for purposes permitted by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Section 551.001, including but not limited to Sections 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, real property, 551.074, and personnel matters. And we are moving into executive session at, I have 10:22. Okay, I'll call the meeting back to order. And we are out of closed session and at 11:14. Members, I appreciate all of your being here, your attendance, your participation, your presence. We are losing one member today. That'll be his last meeting. Brent Ringo has accepted the assistant superintendent's position for finance in the Garland Independent School District and will be moving over there. But we are going to go ahead and send him problems as they need to be resolved over there to him. But no, we appreciate your service, Brent, and wish you good luck in your new job, your new assignment. And you're still in Dallas County, so, you know, we'll be watching you. And appreciate again you're working with us here. As everybody knows, we're not meeting March the 12th. So our next meeting will be on March 26th at 10 o'clock. Anything else? We stand adjourned. Thank you very much.